Art is always in conversation with the past. In this video, we will explore how colonial Mexican imagery created during the period of New Spain between 1521 and 1821 continues to shape the visual language of contemporary murals in Los Angeles. Though these two worlds are separated by centuries in geography, their artistic connections reveal a deep culture within each other. Today's Los Angeles murals transform colonial symbols into power expression of identity, memory, and resistance, while still echoing artistic traditions that originated hundreds of years ago in Mexico. Colonial Mexican art emerged through the cultural fusion of indigenous traditions and Spanish Catholic visual art. During this period, artists created elaborate religious paintings, symbolic portraits, and complex visual narratives that reinforce social order while incorporating indigenous aesthetics. These visual forms, especially religious symbols and carefully staged portraiture, laid the groundwork for many artist motifs that continued into the present day. One of the most iconic forms of colonial imagery is the casta painting, a genre that emerged in early 18th century. Often attributed to artists like Miguel Cabrera, these paintings displayed family groups composed of parents of different racial categories, accompanied by their labeled offspring. The intention was to visually categorize and control social identity through art. The compositions were carefully structured with figures arranged in idealized domestic settings surrounded by symbolic images. These paintings reinforce colonial hierarchies, but they also preserve visual traditions of storytelling and symbolism. Interestingly, these same visual tools, once used to define and restrict identity, are repurposed in today's Los Angeles mural to celebrate community heritage and cultural pride. Another central image in colonial Mexican art is the Virgen of Guadalupe. Though rooted in indigenous and Catholic traditions, this figure became a national symbol of unity, protection, and belonging. Colonial artists frequently depicted the Virgen with luminous colors, symmetrical composition, and symbolic motifs that conveyed her sacred power. In contemporary Los Angeles, the Virgen continues to appear in murals across neighborhoods such as Boyle Heights and East LA. In these murals, she represented not only spiritual devotion but cultural survival. While colonial painters used the Virgen to support religious authority, modern muralists transformed the same image into a symbol of identity, resilience, community, and visibility. Despite the dramatic shifts in political, social, and artistic contexts, many elements of colonial imagery persist in modern public art. Religious symbolism, narrative portraiture, and visually rich compositions continue to resonate with Mexican and Chicanx communities. Rather than existing within the private space of a church or colonial household, these images now occupy the public walls of Los Angeles. Murals reclaim these symbols, allowing artists to reinterpret them through the lens of heritage, activism, and cultural memory. One example of these connections appear in Los Angeles murals that feature the Virgen de Guadalupe or saint-like figures. In East LA, artists frequently paint her as a guardian who watches over her community. Her presence on walls transforms colonial iconography into a symbol of empowerment and cultural pride. While colonial imagery once reinforced hierarchy, here it creates unity. Murals breathe a new life into these symbols, turning them into powerful markers of identity and belonging. Another major connection between colonial art and Los Angeles muralism is the use of portraiture. Many LA murals, despite families, workers, youth, and community figures, in ways that parallel the structure compositions of colonial paintings, but instead of displaying racial categories or hierarchies, these murals center dignity, empowerment, and everyday life. By borrowing visual forms from colonial art such as central placement, symbolic backgrounds, or dramatic lighting, artists transformed the colonial purpose of portraiture rather than enforcing identity. Murals liberate. While colonial images are placed in direct conversation with contemporary murals, their visual relationship becomes unmistakable. Both use strong color palettes, symmetrical compositions, and symbolic objects, but their meanings diverge sharply. Colonial imagery sought out to define people with a strict social framework. Los Angeles murals, by contrast, break those boundaries apart. They reclaim traditional motifs and reshape them to express cultural pride, historical awareness, and resistance to marginalization. And in this way, colonial art becomes a visual foundation upon which new narratives are built. Understanding these connections help us recognize murals not as just decorations, but as public forms of cultural memory. For Mexicans and Chicanx communities in Los Angeles, murals serve as living archives that keep history visible. They honor ancestors, celebrate identity, and challenge reassure. By engaging with colonial imagery, muralists revive traditions while transforming their meaning. The murals made today are part of continuous artistic lineage shaped by centuries of cultural exchange, adaptation, and resistance. In conclusion, these visual relationships between colonial Mexican imagery and contemporary Los Angeles murals reveal the powerful ways art travels across time and place. Symbols created in the colonial era once confined to canvases and churches now resonate in the streets of Los Angeles. As expressions of pride, memory, and collective identity, murals show that art is never static. It grows with its people by transforming colonial visual traditions. Today's artists create vibrant, living dialogue between past and present. Thank you for watching.